Hello, everyone. Welcome to Allianz Joy. I'm excited to be here today with you and bring you some information about the things I do and the things I talk about and the things I'm interested in and the things I love to share with you. Allianz Joy here on Win Win Women TV is all about feeling good and just doing a lot for it. And I like always to bring that in a simple form to you. In a simple form, with that, I mean in form that everybody kind of understands without too much complicated medical terminology or too much intrinsic yoga terminology. I like to bring it a little bit to the surface in an efficient and functional way, I should say. What do? I bring the body, the mind, and the spirit together. I work as a wellness and life coach. So I love to bring to you movement ideas. I love to bring to you meditation ideas. Last week we talked about mindfulness and what that all entails. And I do talk a lot about the effects of trauma on the body, the effects of trauma on the mind, of course, as a counselor, helping my patients through trauma. But I do that also very much through movement and meditation and mindfulness exercises. And what I do I share with you because I love to bring that to you. And I have seen over the last 40 years that I've been doing this in group format with people from fitness to wellness. In the beginning, when I was young, it was all about fitness and looking good and putting on those apps and not being able to move the next day. Nowadays, it's more about just making that spiritual and that mental connection with our body so that you feel overall that you're a little bit more in control. One of the things that I always talk about is that we have a tendency nowadays, and this is a sign of the times, to get too much information. I always tell you about that. And because of that overload of information, we are also used to instant gratification. So an overload of information, instant gratification. When we don't feel good and when we get a little bit stressed out, we tend to take something for that. And in my job, working with patients in substance abuse and recovery, I see a lot of that trend, right? Where we are just immediately grabbing something to feel better. And I must say and share with you, and I've done that in the past. I remember those days. I remember the days that I just didn't want to deal with anything and just started drinking. And that was a huge form of just kind of like getting through the day or getting through the evening or trying to go to sleep, not even understanding where all this came from and not even understanding where in the past this had all started in my thinking process. So I share a lot of these things with you. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the physical symptoms that are always having to do with your thinking or with your PTSD or with your trauma or with your anxiety and depression. We have a lot of physical symptoms that we can actually kind of consider, being a result of our thinking and our depression or anxiety. But what we also do is we underestimate it a little bit. So we think it's just separated from each other. We think the body and the mind are not connected, and all of a sudden we have back pain, and oh my, where is that coming from? And I always say, I do not want you to run to the very first spinal clinic, because although they are doing amazing things nowadays in a scientific way, in a medical way, for our spine and for our back, there's a lot of things that you can do for yourself, and so that you can prevent some of that pain or even intervene with some of the pain and feel a lot better. So maybe you don't need immediate surgery, or don't maybe you don't need to be on that table to get all these spinal surgeries, right? Or what you would you say, that kind of like little things installed there or adjusted or um, fused. So that happens a lot, and we feel that a lot in our body. And some of the things are things that we can prevent. So I'm going to share a little bit with that today with you. So the anxiety level can be out of the world, and that can lead to depression ultimately, right? And also in an effective and functional way, sometimes I say, to for you to understand your anxiety, you have to go to your body. You have to ask your body, what do I feel? Where is there so much tension? Where do I feel it? Why are my shoulders and my neck hurting all the time? Why is my back or my hips are hurting all the time? Why do I feel that sciatic nerve? And because if we are starting to make that connection and that actually that conversation with our body, we do understand sometimes what kind of thinking and what kind of process happens so that we do feel those physical symptoms. One of the things that we feel when we're anxious or when we are sliding into a depression, which is really one of those situations where you feel so bad all the time that you just kind of lose care, you lose interest in the outside world, in taking care of yourself, in communication, in others. And when you feel that way, you kind of have down that slippery slope, you go down that slippery slope. A lot of times, one of the first indicators and physical symptoms is that we can't sleep even when we feel a lot of anxiety and we're constantly in a state of worry and in a very worrisome mind, we feel that we're awake all the time and we can't sleep. We just can't fall asleep. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes we go to substance, right? Sometimes we go to alcohol, sometimes we go to drugs just to feel better and to be able to sleep. But like I remember from the past when I tried to do that because I was not happy. I was having a lot of anxiety. I was not in a good place in my life. When I tried to cure that just with drinking, that would help for a couple of hours. I would fall asleep. But then immediately after, around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, a couple of hours later, you're wide awake because of the sugar impacts, because of the alcohol. So that isn't really, that's like a little bit instant gratification, but it doesn't really work. And on top of that, of course, it is not good and not healthy for you. So that's why I try to tell my patients that we can go to a place of trying to think healthy and trying to do things that are proactive for ourselves so that we don't maybe get into that slippery slope of anxiety or of stages of, oh my gosh, I want to do this now because it helps immediately. So let's say, what can we do for sleepless nights? For those nights that you really feel out of it and you can't fall asleep and your mind is just racing, that monkey mind is going on all the time. That is one of the first things that we feel as a symptom physically of anxiety or even depression. What can you do? One of the best things that you can do is do breathing, body scan, relaxing exercises or do a meditation that is a body scan. There's a lot of meditations out there, and I can definitely tell you that I use them all the time in group setting, in my teachings, in my instruction with people, and I also use it for myself. Meditation is very necessary nowadays because we just can't bring it back. We can't bring it back down. So what we do when we meditate is we listen, right? First we pray and we ask. Maybe we ask for something. We ask for help. We ask for support. We ask to feel better. We ask your higher power, your God, you ask your spiritual universe to help you solve the problems that you are struggling with. But meditation is just simply listening. And that is a really difficult thing to do for us nowadays as well. As a sign of the times, we are listening the whole day to so many different things. It is so difficult to bring it back to simple listening to one voice. One of the things that we think always, and that I always get asked by my patients and clients, well, but I just don't have the time to lay there for an hour, to do a really long meditation and to listen to it, or I'm just too restless. And for that reason, I always say start with 5 or 10 minutes only. Because if you start with a shorter amount of time in your meditation, it will be effective. It is just practice. There's nothing perfect to it. You just have to practice and you get better at it. Anything that you do over a long amount of time, right? You get better at it. So you start with a 5 or 10 minute meditation. Now you can find them on YouTube, you can find them on several meditation apps, and look for just a simple breathing or body scan meditation. So you start to feel really relaxed when you do that. A body scan is nothing else than simply listening to a voice that tells you, wiggle your toes, relax your toes. Feel your legs, relax your legs, right? In a simple form that would just be so good all over for your body. Just separating all the little parts of your body and then feeling them relax is such a great state. And if you can focus, then ultimately that will make you fall asleep. That will definitely help you fall asleep. And you are creating that listening, that mindfulness about the body and what you feel. So you're making this connection. So good for you. So good for you. So, what is the other symptoms? Another symptom that we are really feeling when we're very much dealing with anxiety, when we are feeling that we have anxiety attacks, when we are feeling depressed, is chest pain, right? A lot of sometimes it feels that you are just having a block, right? A center block on your chest, or there's an elephant standing on your chest. You just have that constant heavy pain on your chest. It is not always simple to do something for that and to get that to disappear. But one of the best things you can do again is bring your focus to it and an awareness, and doing an awareness exercise, and just do an exercise of simple breathing. And we're going to make the connection with our rib cage, with our chest. So we're going to put our hands on our chest and expanding into the rib cage when we're breathing in. You want to breathe in through your nose and really feel that expansion in your chest. If you don't feel it very well, you can put the hands on the side right here and feel that expansion, that widening of your ribs when you're inhaling and when you're exhaling. You want to focus on that and do that 5 to 10 times. Try to feel if you can only think about your chest expansion and going back. Now, if you do that in an anxiety situation where you are not paying attention to your breathing, then you might go into that hyperventilation attack, right? That's where that anxiety attack starts, just really high. But you don't want to do that. We want to bring it down to creating that connection with where our pain is. And if we can actually locate and help that, diminish that a little bit by breathing to that pain. So it takes it back down to calming down and trying to come into a calm mode. Maybe you need to lay down, or maybe you sit down straight up into a good chair and you just start feeling that breath. I did that for myself when I had a huge anxiety attack when I was trying to fly again. And this was just after COVID. And it was just really difficult to get back into that plane. While before, for years, I had been in and out of airports and in and out of airplanes. For different trips and family, and also work, and a lot of conventions and a lot of speaking all over, and just going to travel. And I never had a problem. Now, this time, just right after COVID, I felt really a trembling situation. I felt that I really got sweaty. I felt that I couldn't breathe. I felt I had this heavy, heavy, heavy chest. And I had a deep chest pain. There's something kind of ripping it apart inside. And I knew that I had symptoms of an upcoming anxiety attack. At that point, I did nothing than grounding myself by feeling my feet on the floor, sitting up straight as much as possible in a straight chair, because it's always very important to feel and to keep your body as straight as possible, and then do some upper back and upper chest ribcage breathing. And I did that very long, very slow, in and out through my nose. When I would exhale, I would feel that I would just release the tension in my chest, between my ribs, and in my upper back, in that thoracic part of your spine. So I could really feel that. So if you are feeling sometimes that you're on the verge of that chest pain, anxiety attack mode, and you just can't focus, and you're all over, and you're sweating, and you feel trembling, then try to sit down and do some of those breathing techniques. It might help and it might work very well for you. Another thing that we deal with a lot is that we have constant fatigue and constant exhaustion. And when that happens to me, when I slide into that anxiety, or sometimes I get really kind of overloaded with work or with thinking or worrying about work or the things I do or the things I have to prepare, or even family or friends situation that are coming up. And I keep ruminating, right? I keep going and going and going. When I feel that, sometimes I get really, really tired and really exhausted. And to give in is the other thing of what we just talked about as a very first point and a very first symptom. You can't sleep. When I feel that fatigue and exhaustion, it's that I all the time want to sleep. I just want to go to bed. I just want to sleep. I just do not want to deal with the rest of the day. And I just want to go in that blankie, right? Wrap myself up. Now, this is a very good thing sometimes for us to do, because we always forget to get enough rest as well, because we have so much going on and we're just running and running and running all the time. But if we are going to take that time to rest and you feel that you do not want to get up, then the thing that you have to do and make yourself do, and this is the difficult thing, is that you have to do exercise and do movement. Many times, even when I was really fatigued after a long day at work, I maybe had to teach another yoga class at night or late afternoon. And I just didn't feel, I felt so tired. I just didn't feel the energy to pick it back up and go in there. And what would I do? After telling all my students that, oh, I'm so tired, it's going to be an easy class today because I was almost falling asleep, what would happen? I would actually go the other route and just do a really crazy, maybe a strength yoga class, or lots of abs, or lots of lunges and squats, and just really throw in some of that strength or even cardio training, right? That would wake me up and get me out of that mood of just want to go to bed. And so if you do the opposite thing, I know you don't want to, but if you do the opposite thing, that will give you back that energy and that stamina that you were looking for, to make it a little bit easier on yourself. So sometimes we have to do the opposite. What do we always want to do? Yes, of course, we want to go to sleep, but it is so tough to come to that mindset of wanting to do the work for it. We have to do the work for it. And that is not always easy, like I say, because everybody suffers from, yes, I'd rather just do that instant gratification thing. I'd rather just kind of call around and, say, give me something for it. That's where a long time ago I made my hashtag, don't take something, go do something. Because if you're doing it, then afterwards you feel so much more accomplished. And what will that do for you? It will increase your self esteem, it will stop your negative thinking, and it will give you a great sense of respect for self because you got something accomplished. And so that is a good thing to me, a good state to be. What you feel, number four, what you feel a lot with depression and anxiety is that your body is just starting to react, and it will settle. And I talked about that last week or 2 weeks ago. It will settle in your body. How trauma, how thinking, how pain, how PTSD, how worries will settle and manifest in your body. So you might just experience a lot of back pain again. Try to do the alternative first instead of calling for pain pills or call the doctor for that's spinal clinic. Try to do the chronic pain yoga, try to do the stretching, try to do the movements. I have tons of yoga videos on that on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. I will direct you to that at the end of the show. But you can find a lot of those great little exercises as yoga or flexibility or movement in any form for your pain in your lower back, in your hips, in your shoulders. And that's where it will settle. That's where it goes to. You will always feel it in your shoulders immediately. You will feel that stress settling in there. It is just all this thinking that also makes you feel going inwards, right? So in my earlier shows, I talked about posture a lot, and we'll pick that back up. Because why is our posture exactly telling us how we feel? Because you're going all the way in. You're kind of crimping in, and you're just kind of rolling inside because you want to crawl in that ball. But if you just do the opposite thing again with your posture, you start feeling a little bit better. Your heart open to the sky, right? Another show. But sometimes the stretching and the yoga moves or some simple exercises will help. And then if you are going to the chiropractor sometimes or you're going to get a massage, that will also help that chronic pain that will manifest in your body because you're constantly in that anxiety or depression mode and feel that you cannot handle the situation anymore. Do something and you will feel better. I just love to share that with you. It is so true. One of the other things that we are always experiencing when we are having the physical symptoms of anxiety and depression, like we talked today, is digestive problems. That is one of my things. I feel really bloated or just really can't go. And if you are having that problem, digestive problems, beside it might be a medical situation, but if you feel that for a couple of days, you're holding on to something, you're not letting go, and it will just feel the same in your body. And what I do, and that has to have great results, is that I go to a 1, 2, 3 day cleanse. So you can call a company for that and get some juicing done for you or buy it yourself and just go on a 1 to 3 days of a juicing diet, right? A cleansing diet. And it helps really because you just want to feel that if you're again cleaning your body, and sometimes it helps you because you're feeling that you're cleaning your mind as well. And it's a really just the other thing around again, right? You start with your body to feel good mentally and emotionally. And that is my thing, right? You always want to put that body back on so that you feel a little bit stronger and a little bit more, right? You can handle it. So do a cleanse. And if there are more problems that you are feeling, you're feeling pain, or you just really are worried about that digestive system in your body, just do go to a nutritionist or somebody that can help you, a dietitian, with some tips first. Because again, we do not always have to have medication for that. We can try to go a little bit lighter and see if there's some things that you can do in your own food intake. So there's a lot of things that have to do with body pain, body aches. And I have several friends and several great names for you of people that can help you with that. And I will have a guest hopefully next month that will tell you a little bit about how food and what you eat has a huge impact on your body as well, combined with feeling anxious, combined with feeling stressed out. I would love to share that with you, and I hope that she will share that with you as well. So we'll try to do that. So try to find some advice in a great nutritionist or a dietitian that can help you with some tips, right? About what you're actually doing to your body when it comes to eating. And here's another thing. We always get headaches when we're so on overload of ruminating, thinking, going back to the past, or getting stuck in our worries about the future. We are not in the now. We're constantly worried. And what we can do with headaches, beside the fact that sometimes it's simply you being dehydrated. With me, that happens a lot. I get a lot dehydrated because I need to drink a lot of water, but sometimes I just don't have the days that I really want to. And yes, I do need to, and yes, I do, but there's days that I just don't want to. And I can always feel it immediately because if I drink water, a great thing to think about is start with it in the morning and just keep doing that. Because what I heard once and what I thought was a great tip is if you are drinking water, you're just really cleansing your insides as well, right? So instead of thinking only about taking a shower in the morning for your whole body and your outside, why don't you take a shower for the inside also and start drinking a lot of water first thing in the morning? It will really cleanse, help with those digestive problems as well, of course. We didn't even mention that a few seconds ago when I was talking about digestive problems. But drink a lot of water. It's good for your skin, good for your body, and it's good for your overall health and wellness. Even being little bit more fit, having more energy, and just definitely getting rid of those headaches. So sometimes it's just a matter of feeling those headaches as a result, as a symptom, physical symptom of being very anxious or feeling depressed, but as well just having that immediately go to your mind and then feeling that pain right behind your eyes. One really good yoga exercise or just exercise that helps with that is when you lay on the floor flat on your back and you kind of wiggle yourself up towards the wall. And then you just lengthen your legs straight up the wall. So I'm on my back, laying on the floor, and I put my legs straight up the wall as much as I can. And most of us, we don't really have to have that 90-degree angle, right, with our legs straight, but just feel that you can rest your legs against the wall. Just kind of climb them up, and then you scoot a little bit more towards the wall so you're really close. And then the weight of your legs will just kind of release into your body, hips, and lower back. And that just kind of releases and decompresses the spine, which will ultimately open up for you to be able to breathe that energy flow and release the headache and release the pain in your mind, in your head. So that's a really good exercise that will help as well, just next to dehydration. Um, hydration, drinking water. One of the last things I want to throw at you is that we always feel changes in appetite or weight. And again, if that is the result of anxiety or depression, then just go see a dietitian or a nutritionist and get some help and let's do the work for it that we need to do without taking a pill or a weight loss pill or something that might have another side effect, right? We don't want to go there. I'm already out of time. So we had so much to share. I had so much to share with you today. I love it, and I will definitely go on why I think these things are always so great to know and always so great to share with you. I appreciate you being here so much. Elian's Joy, www.elianhaan.com. Find me on my website and find all the links to social media and to YouTube and to these shows so that you can watch them back and just bring it into your bring it to you, bring it awareness, bring that mindfulness for yourself. So have a great week. I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching Elian's Joy. Bye.